Dear Mooji, dear Sangha. Sangha means the numbers of people who have come together, called by the same voice, which is always the impersonal voice of truth. It says, time now, in this life, come and discover the truth. You see, there are many ways that we can discover the truth, through in many different forms, through different religions, in different practices, because God is infinite. God is immense. You cannot limit God to one particular religion and say, only this religion knows God. This is nonsense things. God has as varied as people are, each one of them can find God in a way. Not just by their own imagination, but if they have that urge within them, already that urge is put in there by the grace of God and will lead them to the path that is right and suitable for them. Okay. I am glad and thankful to know you. I'm glad and thankful to know you had a safe trip back to Mantisahasha. Thank you for making this letter possible. Thank you for handling this situation of crisis with such generosity, care, and prudence. Thank you for your loving being. Thank you. Who is this? Kacha. I experienced this time as a great opportunity for going deeper. The opportunity of taking part online in the Rishikesh retreat was the starting point of this turning inside. Now life offers a retreat situation in daily life. Yes, this is true. My question in this crisis retreat is this. By rejecting contact to avoid the spreading of the virus, all kinds of issues related to relationship come up. I notice how, on one hand, I am very glad to stay with myself. And here is just the isness, or just what is. When I'm just by myself, I'm just as I am with myself. It feels very natural. I'm just as I really am. Okay. Sometimes moods arrive to which I get attached to. But this is observed and can pass. So sometimes moods come up, and for a moment I'm distracted, I get attached or involved in them. But then gradually my power and habit to observe them comes, and I see that they pass. So I don't have to run after them. Very good. On the other hand, especially in my close relationships, there is a big swirl of attaching myself to people, probably out of some basic mistrust in life, a belief not to be able to make it on my own, not to be able to survive without these people. Okay, I need some water here. It's a bit cold. I have some nice rooibos tea. Or is it tulsi tea? Let me see now. Tulsi, this is good. Thank you. Now, let's see now. So this is a long sentence. On the other hand, especially in my close relationships, there is a big swirl of attaching myself to people. There's a big tendency of attaching myself to people. Some of you might know this and have this tendency also. Probably out of some basic mistrust in life. And mistrust in life, so you attach yourself to people for companionship, for maybe a sense of safety. A belief in me not to be able to make it on my own. Not to be able to survive without these people. So here Kacha is saying, I have a big attachment in relationships with people, which probably comes out of a basic mistrust about life. And this is common. This is common. For many people, they don't have a trust in life. And they have not developed the trust in life, nor come to see the trust that they can have in existence, because either choose some conditioning, some misconceptions that you have to control things, otherwise they will just collapse into some kind of confusion, and everything will fall apart. And an excessive amount of these type of thoughts and feelings and fears can really create little space for you to enjoy your natural state of peace. So you become very needy, and needing people to comfort you, to give you a sense of being safe and so on. No? And also you have a sense that by yourself you're not going to be strong enough. These are debilitating thoughts. By yourself in the truest way, you are powerful. By yourself in the true sense, meaning that you are aware of who you truly are, not just a person identity with all the hang-ups and the idiosyncrasies and strangenesses that can come with personhood. But when you have gone beyond that, into the space of pure awareness, pure being, pure intelligence, pure love discovering and spaciousness, powerful. It's not the power, you are empowered, but it's not a power to have power over people, but it's the power to love them truly without needing. And so this is a very important thing, Katja. You have the feeling that you will not be able to survive without these kind of relationships. So this is a great misconception, and one that it is good and you will transcend this neediness. Because when you are in a relationship with anybody and you are needy, you somehow bring a lot of claustrophobia in their life also. Maybe their ego might be flattered in the beginning that somebody need them. But actually the truth is you don't need them. But when someone feels that you need them, they can abuse you also. And you open yourself up all kind of abuse, and you will take the abuse because you think that I prefer to have the abuse and have them with me than to not have the abuse and not have them with me. So these are the strangenesses that can happen when we are not established in our true center, you see. Okay. And there is a belief that these people won't make it without me also. Now that is a disrespect to the power that is inherent potentially or actually in a human life. A human being is not just some kind of tea cloth soaking wet left on the top of a table. You have so much potential. You have the God power in you, the potential and the power to discern, to look, to introspect, to contemplate, to marinate in your seeing, to grow, to expand, to discover a love in you that encompasses the whole world, and not be drained by that love, but rather to infuse love in more intensely, and understanding and compassion and joy. So please don't belittle you. Don't let the mind belittle what you are, because when it does that, it robs you of your natural power and then sink you into the quicksand of suffering. This can change, and this can change. It has changed for many, many people. And all the people who have woken up, who have become enlightened, means to discover the truth of themselves. I've experienced these states along the way, but they trusted. they were told from early that the mind will come with these things. That is why it is called the deceiver also sometimes. That's why it is called the devil also sometimes. The mind in its psychological aspect. I'm not talking about the general mind that you use for functioning. That is a wonderful power. That is part of what the self is. But as soon as the beingness that emanated from God identified with the body and became a person, a power arising out of your own original power came as the psychological mind, developed as psychological mind, to play both as your friend and as your enemy. And God made it that way, that somehow we will use our experience and discernment to transcend the influence of the psychological mind and to win yourself back. A huge neediness and an abuse by projecting this neediness on people is happening. How can I stop this? Mooji, please guide me through this. A huge neediness and an abuse by projecting this neediness on people is happening. Well, let me tell you, you are already, by sharing this, you show me that you're already aware of that. You're aware that the mind is taking that shape. You are not the mind. So when the mind arises like that, you keep the power in yourself as the weakness of that particular mind play, and don't identify, don't log into its scheme. Simply stay as the weakness, which is neutral and which is of God, rather than the carnal mind, which is out to destroy your beauty and your joy. And you must be very, very earnest about this, and very, very focused about it. And remember that grace is with you, that this is the highest purpose in your life. The highest opportunity is to transcend the influence of the psychological or deceiving aspect of the mind. And God is with you. This is why I said, don't believe your mind, because it will deceive you at first. But at the same time, the mind is very, very important for you to transcend and to win yourself back, to reach the holy state of an awakened being. We have to all go through this somehow. The Lord has designed the universe in this way, that we will all experience the duality play of good and evil, of right and wrong, of justices and injustices, of things that we are inclined to trust which are not trustworthy, to take the bite and yet to transcend the poison. All this, as much trouble has come to you, greater is the one, it is said, who is in you than that which is in the world. Meaning, the power within you is there, but you must log into it. You must connect up with the power of God and grace in your heart. And it is not difficult. All my talks are really guiding you to that discovery, you know. Please guide me through this, Mooji. I am willing and ready to surrender this painful game. But there seems to be something in it of which I am still unconscious. Well, the something that's in it is there by habit, because sometimes the mind can, or the deceiver can promise you things that are enticing to your soul. They are things that promise you to fulfill your fantasies, your desires, and your projections at a human level, at a carnal level, it can give you pleasures, but it cannot give you happiness. You see? It can give you aloneness, but not peace. It can give you success at a human level, but not transcendence over the foolish things of the world. Remember this. Please remove this ignorance and lead me into a deeper surrender. Yes, all that I share with you, Katja, is in transcending or removing, erasing the ignorance. You see, actually, God is perfect, and the seed of God in you, the Spirit of God in you, is perfect also. Your person is imperfect. Many times we are trying to make our person more perfect. That's a big river, and that also God made. That many people, because of such a strong identification with personhood, will travel this road of the evolution of personhood. That is fine. That may be. God takes care of that. But I say that God is perfectly within you also. And rather than trying to make the imperfect person perfect, I would say here in this path, if you remove the ignorance about who you are, you'll find that I don't have to bring in the truth of who you are, because when you remove, when you unveil, when you open the curtains of ignorance, the truth is already there to reveal itself. And our talks are just about that. And they are practical, they are possible, they are reachable. Reach is not a good word. Attainable, you can say, that state. Everything that you are searching for, in the highest sense, is already inside you. In the deepest of love, Katja. I want to close by saying something. You know, the great Sufi saint known as Rumi, many people know Rumi. He said something that I often share in my talks. He says, I've been knocking at a door. Like, let me in, knocking on the door. Suddenly the door opens, and I realize I have been knocking from inside. And when I first heard this, it was so potent. We are all already inside, in the truest sense. Our nature belongs to God. Who we are is in harmony with God, our essential nature. But while we pick up and are forced to live in a world of duality and of so much forces are at play, we forget, of course, and take ourselves to be only flesh and blood and conditioning and the learnings of this world. And then at some point we realize, with all our efforts and attaining all that we have done in a materialistic sense, in the physical way, it has not brought us to peace and happiness and completeness. So we find ourselves knocking at the door of life. Please let me in. It has become cold and desolate here. Please let me in. Please open up. And the door opens. Only by the door opening, which means what? When you knock at the door of God with your heart. God opens it to you. You are already inside. The opening door shows you, but you are already here, my child, it's saying. How foolish. You have always been here, but you are not aware that you are here in the real sense. You forgot yourself, and you imagine that you are outside of yourself, and you suffered, but yet your suffering has brought you back here. Knocking at the door, let me in. You had to come to that desperateness. Please let me in. Please save me. The door opens and you realize, I am already here. The opening of this door is the opening of grace that reveals your true nature. This time of trouble and challenge for humanity is compelling us to knock at the door. Help us, help me, help me. I don't want to die. The one who is free and who has found God is not afraid to die because they know they cannot die. The body will go. Everybody will go. But your body is not you. Everybody will leave. But your body is not you. If your name is John, your body doesn't know its name is John. It is simply the vehicle, the instrument that is designed by God to house the spirit and the soul. So it is by divine ordination, no? That the breath of God lives in you. The Spirit of God is in you. When that spirit is awakened into consciousness, when you are conscious of that, you begin to blossom in your life. And I say that this is the wonderful thing about life, that we can all blossom into greater beauty, into deeper awareness, into higher consciousness, you see, of the truth. And this is the truth that it says sets you free, means make you aware of your innate freedom as the child of God, or the pure consciousness, if you want to put like that. Okay? So thank you for this opportunity to share a few thoughts and pointers, and that you have written in and given the opportunity to look at these at a time when we do have time. We do have time. This time that we are here is been offered to us. And using in this way, I feel, is one of the great ways, the greatest way of using time. To search for truth, to search for God, to search for yourself, whichever way we want to call it. But it is one truth. So continue in this, and bless you, bless you, bless you. The less we are believing ourselves to be an object, the more slow and heavy your journey is. The more you think like that, the more heavy, you know. The more you realize that somehow the understanding is happening, but I don't even know who I really am. Just something is expanding within me, and there is more joy and space. I feel more light and kind. I am not a rebel against life. I love life, and I love the living, and I care for increasingly for others and for my own people. My own people is becoming everybody somehow. So all the very best to you. Thank you for your attention and your time. God bless you, and see you next time. Okay, namaste.